Prynawn da bawb, a chroeso i sesiynau adolygu Carlam Cymru. Bydd sesiwn heddi yn canolbwyntio ar uwchgyfrannol Ffrangeg ac yn cael ei gyflwyno gan Alison Pritchard o Ysgol Gymraeg Bro Dir. Bydd y sesiwn yn para tua 45 munud, lle bydd Alison yn cyflwyno'r cynnwys perthnasol. Os oes gennych cwestiwn yn ystod y sesiwn, defnyddiwch yr adran cwestiwn ac ateb, Q&A, a fe wnawn ein gorau i ateb eich cwestiynau. Fe welwch chi bod dolen yn yr adran cwestiwn ac ateb yn mynd i ymddangos cyn bo hir. Os ydych chi'n hapus i adael eich enw a'ch cyfeiriad e-bost, byddwn ni wrth ein bodd yn cadw mewn cysylltiad â chi mwyn anfon gwybodaeth atoch chi am ddigwyddiadau eraill yn y dyfodol. Gallwch glicio ar y ddolen ar unrhyw adeg yn ystod y sesiwn. Bydd sesiwn heddi yn cael ei recordio, a bydd y recordiad ac unrhyw adnoddau perthnasol yn cael ei roi ar wefan e-sgol o dan y tab Carlam Cymru. Diolch yn fawr. Hello everybody and welcome to the Carlam Cymru revision sessions. The session this evening will be focusing on AS French and will be presented by Alison Pritchard from Ysgol Gymraeg Bro Dir. The session will last around 45 minutes where Alison will run through the relevant content. If you have any questions during the session, please use the Q&A, question and answer section, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. You will see before long that there's a hyperlink in the Q&A section. If you're happy to leave your name and email address, we would love to keep in touch with you so that we can send you information about future events. You can click on the link at any time during the session. Today's session will be recorded, and the recording and any relevant resources will be uploaded to the e-sgol website under the Carlam Cymru tab. Diolch yn fawr, Alison. Draw at chi. Thank you, Alison. Over to you.
Diolch, Kerry. Thank you. So, noswaith da, good evening, bonsoir. Donc, la rafle ce soir est comment se préparer à la réponse critique à l'écriture. So, heno, rydyn ni'n mynd i edrych at cwestiwn yn uned 2 ar gyfer ffilm. So, this evening we'll be looking at how to answer the written question in Unit 2 of the AS exam on a specific film. So, byddai'n ffocysu ar y ffilm La Rafle heno. I will be focusing on the film La Rafle, but bydd y content yn helpu chi gyda ffilmau arall hefyd. Okay, so the content will actually help you with other films as well, to a certain extent. Okay, so bonjour, je m'appelle Madame Pritchard. L'objectif ce soir, comment se préparer pour la réponse critique à l'écriture sur un film, unité 2, avec la rafle comme point central. Okay, so dwi wedi cael y gwybodaeth heno o'r manylder. So I've had this information from the specification this evening. So I'm sure you've received it from your teachers, but it's just a little reminder first of all of what's included. Then we'll go on to look at some specific help that you can do in advance to prepare for the exam, and then we look at some specific examples. Felly, byddwn ni'n dechrau gyda edrych dros y manylder, y gwybodaeth yn y manylder. Wedyn, byddwn ni'n edrych at sut i paratoi am yr arholiadau, a wedyn byddwn ni'n gwneud cwbl o enghreifftiau. Okay, on y fa. Felly, adran ch, neu section D, yw ymateb beirniadol ysgrifenedig, so critical response in writing, a mae 36 mark, so 36 marks. So bydd rhaid i chi ateb un cwestiwn, just answer one question, and mae yna 2 grid marcio, so there are 2 marking grids. So, ar gyfer AA4, mae'r ymateb beirniadol llwyddiannus yn dangos yn glir y gallai'r ymeisydd gyflwyno a chyfiawnhau safbwyntiau datblygu dadleuon a dod i gasgliadau ar sail dealltwriaeth. Okay, so you will have to demonstrate that you can present and justify points of view, develop arguments and draw conclusions based on understanding. So dyna pre-focus question yna, that's the main focus of this question. And also here then it says the work must include a critical response to aspects such as structure of the plot, characterisation and use of imagery or other stylistic features. Felly, bydd y gwaith yn gynnwys ymateb beirniadol i agweddau megis strwythur y plot, cymeriadau a'r defnydd o ddelweddaeth neu nodweddion eraill o ran yr arddull. Nifer o geiriau yw tua 300, so approximate number of words they advise is 300 words, but you won't be penalised for going over the number, okay? So ni dylai atebion sy'n rhagori ar rynweiniad gael eu cosbi. Maen nhw'n annog i chi defnyddio tua 1 awr ar y traethawd, so they advise you to use approximately 1 hour on the essay from the Unit 2 exam paper. And dwi wedi tanlinellu yma, I've underlined here, make it relevant, mae rhaid bod yn perthnasol. Dydyn nhw ddim moyn ateb eang, they don't want a broad answer, maen nhw moyn i chi ateb y cwestiwn yn perthnasol. They want you to answer the question with relevant information. OK, cynllun marcio, the mark scheme. So, mas o 36 out of 36 here. So, dych chi'n gallu gweld mae marc am AO3, AA3, mas o 24 out of 24, and then AO4, AA4, mas o 12 out of 12, and then 36 is the total. So, byddwn ni'n edrych at y cynllun marciau nawr. So, yr un cyntaf yw AA3. So, the first one is AO3 with a mark out of 25. So, os ni'n edrych ar y top yma, trin yr iaith a astudur yn dda iawn, lefel uchel o gywirdeb gyda gwallau prin neu ddim o gwbl, gan ddefnyddio amrywiaeth eang o eirfa a strwythurau, defnydd da iawn o iaith sy'n briodol i'r thema. Okay? So dyna sut i cael y top band yna, 21 i 24. Ac yn Saesneg wedyn, to get the top band, they're looking for very good manipulation of the language of study, high level of accuracy with very few or no errors, using a wide range of lexis and structure. Very good use of language appropriate to the theme. So in order to get the top band, 21 to 24, this is what they're looking for. So the first mark scheme is all looking at the language, the French that you use. Ar ail-un, so the next one, the second one, AO4, AA4, marc allan o 12, with a mark out of 12. Am y top band, mae'n gwybodaeth dda iawn o wahanol agweddau ar ddiwylliant a chymdeithas Ffrainc a gwledydd a chymunedau Ffrangeg a'i iaith sy'n addas i'r cwestiwn sydd wedi ei gosod. So mae hwnna'n rili bwysig, okay? Dadleuon wedi ei datblygu a'i chyfiawnhau gan dynnu gasgliadau ar sail tystiolaeth briodol a'r deunydd fynhonell. So mae hwnna yw marc allan o 12, so top band yw 10 i 12. A wedyn yn Saesneg, so then we look at this in English. Very good use, very good knowledge of different aspects of the culture and society of France and French-speaking countries and communities appropriate to the question set. Okay, so they want it to be appropriate, not a general, so you can't just learn one essay and then just use it for all of the questions. They want it to be specific to the question they've asked. And you again, you must need to be aware of French culture and French-speaking countries and communities' culture as well. And the second bullet point is arguments developed and justified and conclusions drawn with appropriate evidence from the source material. Okay, so you will need to argue your point of view, justify it with examples and analysis, and then draw conclusions from it using evidence from the film. So, dyna'r cynllun marcio, so that's the mark scheme. to help you ensure that you aim for those top bands. So you're looking at language in the one, and you're looking at culture and knowledge of the film and the society and so on in the second band. Okay, so studying the film, mae hwnna'n eitha, quite simple there. And then, drwy astudio'r ffilm o ddewisir, bydd y dysgwyr yn, a wedyn mae 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet points yna. Dych chi'n gallu darllen drosyn nhw. I'm not going to spend the whole time just reading through them. You can look through these bullet points. The learner will be able to, and these are the points they expect you to develop while studying the film. So you can pause the recording at any time and read through these points. Then pethau yw hystyried, so things to consider. So again, you can pause the record and read through some of these key ideas. So thinking about the main events of the film. If I were you, no matter which film you've studied, I would definitely put just a synopsis of the film, just a summary to show, you know, where they are, what happens, the characters, where they are, what happens, the characters, and so on. So you can see how the plot and the characters and so on develop, change throughout the film. So make sure you understand each of the main characters. You could consider things like who changes most or whom or what makes these changes, for example. The relationships between the different characters. Key events, I've said again, sorry there. The wider context of the film. So, for example, in terms of La Rafle, it's set in the 1940s during the Second World War. So you could look at what was happening at the time. You could think about the director, what was he conveying, was he successful, the words and the dialogue that are used in the film, any imagery, and how does it evoke your senses. You could look at symbolism, so are people or objects or places symbolic to anything else. You could look at the style and tone of the language used, is it formal, is it informal, does it make you laugh or cry, and so on. And you could, if you wanted to learn some short quotations, you don't have to get full marks, but it could, you know, if you feel you are able to and it helps you make a point and it's very relevant, then you could if you wanted to. So you're advised to write your essay in the historic present tense. So although you're talking about the past, you're writing it in the present tense. So make sure you revise the present tense thoroughly. You could use things like il s'agit de, it deals with, or it refers to, it talks about. And we advise you to use cela rather than ça in formal writing. You'll need to make sure you have a well-argued, balanced answer with judgments, and obviously you need to justify those judgments. It has to be a personal response. Please make sure again you answer the question. Mae rhaid I chi ateb y cwestiwn. Paidiwch a just dysgu un ateb a ail defnyddio fe am popeth. Don't just learn one essay and reuse it for everything. You need to make sure your answer is specific to the question and make sure the structure of your essay is clear and concise. Okay, comment structurer votre essay? So, sut ydych chi'n gallu strwythuro eich traethawd? How can you structure your essay? Voici un exemple. L'introduction, so donner un bref résumé du film. So just a brief summary of the film I ddechrau. Introduisez le titre de l'essai, par exemple. So wedyn, ydych chi'n gallu cyflawni'r teitl yr essay, so beth bynnag yw y teitl, byddwch chi'n defnyddio hwnna I yn yr introduction, just I introduce a theme, I suppose. So you would start off in the introduction, brief summary, and then introduce the theme that you're going to be talking about. This structure is just an example. It's not that you have to use this structure, it's just a suggestion. Paragraphe 1, la première puce, paragraphe 2, la deuxième puce, et paragraphe 3, la troisième puce. So mae un paragraph am bob point bullet. So one paragraph for each bullet point. Does dim rhaid I chi defnyddio'r pwyntiau bullet. You don't have to use the bullet points. Ond yn fy marn I, mae'n syniad da. But in my opinion, I would suggest it's a good idea. Okay. La conclusion, so terminez en résumant vos points et concluez avec une déclaration finale. So gorffen y traethawd gan summarise, ddim yn cofio'r gair am summarise, sorry, yn Gymraeg, ond summarise y pwyntiau allweddol, so summarise the key points, a wedyn gorffen gyda brawddeg terfynol, so end it then with a final statement. Okay. Hefyd, dych chi'n gallu defnyddio P fel point evidence evaluate, and cofiwch gefnogi ac enghreiffdio eich syniadau a'ch dadleuon. So remember to support and exemplify your ideas and arguments for each point. Okay. Right, so dyna enghraifft o'r strwythur. That's an example of the structure. So, ni'n mynd i edrych at La Rafle now. So let's look at the film La Rafle. By the way, os ydych chi ddim wedi gwylio'r ffilm eto, hyd yn oed os ydych chi ddim yn astudio'r ffilm, mae'n ffilm arbennig. So even if you don't have to study the film, I would suggest that you watch it because it's excellent. But make sure you've got a box of tissues with you because it's pretty sad. Okay, voici quelques images. So dyma lluniau o'r ffilm, just for you to think about things that happen in the film. I mean, if you see a key picture, sometimes you think, ah, yeah, I remember that happening, and it can give you some ideas. Okay, I just took these from the internet, but it is an excellent film. I do recommend it. Okay. Quels sont les thèmes possibles? So, beth ydy'r themau sy'n bosib? What possible themes could there be? This is not a complete list. This is just suggestions, ideas, examples. So, dim ond enghreifftiau a syniadau yw y rhestr yma. So, les personnages, the characters, tels que Joseph Weissman, Annette Nono or Noé, Dr. Schengbaum, Anna Sura, Simon Schmel, etc. Right? So, dych chi'n gallu meddwl am y prif cymeriadau in a film. So you could think about the key characters in the film. I know there's been an essay on Joseph. We're gonna look at that in a bit. But it's nice to think about the characters and what effects the film has on them, how they change, how they develop, and so on. Hefyd, mae enghreifftiau eraill. So other suggestions could be l'innocence, l'espoir, l'antisémitisme, l'intégration, l'éducation, la confiance, la honte, le patriotisme, l'humeur, la gentillesse, l'attitude des Français envers les Juifs, la représentation des enfants, l'attitude des adultes, enghraifft, for example. Meddwl hefyd am, fel arfer, os ydych chi'n edrych at a question, so usually when you look at the question, they tend to use 3 sections of the film. A Montmartre au début, so Montmartre at the start, ar y ddechrau. Le Vélodrome d'hiver, ou le Vel d'Hiv, is when they're in the velodrome in the middle part of the film. Et puis le camp de concentration de Bonne-la-Rolande. So then the final part is in the concentration camp. Obviously, right at the end, then they return to Paris at the end of the war. But they are the 3 main parts of the film that you could focus on. Okay, qu'est-ce qu'il faut apprendre? So, beth dylech chi dysgu? What should you learn for the exam? So, I ddechrau gramadeg. To start with, I suggest practicing your grammar. So, voici quelques sites de grammaire. So, dyma cwpl o enghreifftiau o gwefan gramadeg. So, here are a couple of examples of some grammar websites that you could use. So, just cliciwch ar y link. A wedyn mae lan I chi pa un sy'n, o pa rhain sy'n defnyddiol I chi. So, it's up to you then which ones would be the most useful for you. Okay. Obviously, y rheswm mae gramadeg yn bwysig yw o ran y cynllun marcio cyntaf. So grammar will be very useful for that first marking grid we saw out of 24 to get the top band. Roedd nhw'n edrych am, well, just dim ond cwbl o camgymeriadau neu dim o gwbl. So they were looking for just a few errors or none at all. Okay, so dyna pam mae'n bwysig I adolygu gramadeg, sut I ysgrifennu yn cywir. Okay, wedyn dynodwyr mynegiant, so discourse markers. Yn Saesneg, dyna enghreifftiau yn Saesneg, ond yn Ffrangeg ni'n cael les choses comme afin de, ou en effet, probablement, en revanche, du même que, etc. Neu hefyd ni'n cael also we have llun yma fel donc, ainsi, en somme, finalement, en résumé, en conclusion, so a maen nhw'n helpu gyda'r conclusion. Mae'n pethau fel puis, ensuite, au début, ni'n cael autrement dit, en effet, c'est pourquoi, etc. Right? So maen nhw'n really defnyddiol. So please dysgu amrywiaeth o dynodwyr mynegiant. So use a variety of these discourse markers to help you structure your essay so that it flows smoothly from sentence to sentence. A dyna cwbl o enghreifftiau eraill. So unwaith eto, ydych chi'n gallu pause y recordiad os ydych chi moyn cymryd nodiadau. Okay? Obviously, mae rhaid I chi rhoi eich barn chi. So pethau fel d'après moi, etc. yn bwysig iawn. Ond ceux qui concerne, so os ydych chi'n siarad am cymeriad, if you're talking about a character, neu thema, a theme, for example, maen nhw'n really defnyddiol. A cwbl mwy yma. Okay. Et puis des autres images, a couple more here for you. So, addition ou gradation. So we have par ailleurs, surtout, d'abord, classer, puis, premièrement, ensuite, restriction ou opposition, mais cependant, en revanche, ou toutefois, etc. Right, so ydych chi'n gallu pause eto a just cymryd nodiadau o'r suggestions yma. So you can pause the recording at any time and just make some notes with any of the words that would be useful for you. Okay, ac y trydydd un. Okay? Right, okay. Now, dwi'n mynd I annog chi heno I defnyddio'r gwefan cybac. So tonight I'm going to encourage you to use the WJEC website. There are some excellent resources. Mae yna adnoddau arbennig ar y gwefan yma I'ch helpu chi paratoi am y ffilmiau. Nid just La Rafle, not just for La Rafle, but for the other films as well that you may want to study. Obviously, dwi'n ffocysu ar La Rafle, so I'm focusing on the film La Rafle. But os ydych chi'n mynd ar y gwefan cybac, byddwch chi'n ffeindio enghreifftiau eraill. So if you go on the WJEC website, you will find other examples of the films that are studied at AS level. So, il y a plusieurs activités pour vous aider à réviser à la site web cybac WJEC. So, mae yna amrywiaeth o adnoddau, gweithgareddau I'ch helpu chi adolygu. So, there are a variety of activities that you can do to revise on this website. Okay, dwi'n mynd I dangos chi enghreifftiau now, so I'm going to show you some examples. So yma ni'n cael brief synopsis of the film, sy'n really defnyddiol, oherwydd bydd nice I rhoi just synopsis byr yn yr introduction o'r traethawd. So it'll be nice to put a little brief synopsis in the introduction of your essay just to set the tone, to put it into context. Then I'm not going to read through the activities, what you need to do, but I've put this there. You can go onto the website and you can click on these yourselves. But if you want to pause and read them and then go on to the activity, you can. Okay, so we have, for example, here a listening activity, qui parle, so pwy sy'n siarad, who is speaking. So mae'n dit, écoutez les clips sonores du film et pour chaque clip, choisissez l'image du personnage concerné et l'émotion qui convient. So bydd rhaid i chi chwarae y clip yma, so you have to play the clip. Dewis yr cymeriad, choose the character. A wedyn so emotion, so sut maen nhw'n teimlo, and then finally you have to choose the emotion that they show in the clip. So mae'n really nice oherwydd mae'n ymarfer sgil gwrando a hefyd darllen ac yn y blaen. Ac os ydych chi moyn, ydych chi'n gallu ysgrifennu brawddeg i esbonio pam, jyst i ymarfer eich sgil ysgrifenedig. Wedyn, regardez les clips et choisissez la bonne phrase. So, unwaith eto bydd rhaid i chi gwylio'r clip o'r ffilm a wedyn dewis yr cerdyn melyn sy'n mynd gyda'r clip. So, once again, this is an example of playing a clip and then you choose the correct yellow card that describes the scene that you've just watched on the clip. So, unwaith eto, mae'n datblygu eich iaith, mae'n datblygu geirfa, brawddegau, i'ch helpu chi ysgrifennu eich traethawd. So, once again, these sentences could be useful in helping you develop sentences, vocabulary structures that you could use when writing your essay. I think it's a really good activity. So, ar un nesaf, so summary writing skills. So, le défi de 2 minutes, vous allez voir un clip vidéo d'1 minute environ. Tout en regardant ce clip, prenez des notes sur les émotions et les humeurs des personnages. Appuyez sur le bouton démarrer pour commencer l'exercice. So, byddwch chi'n gweld ffilm, clip, tua 1 funud. So, you'll see a short clip of about 1 minute. A wedyn bydd rhaid i chi ysgrifennu nodiadau, so you will have to write notes on the emotions and the mood of the characters. Ar un nesaf yw matching activity, so statements matched to words. So mae'n gofyn, choisissez les bons thèmes. So dewis y thema cywir, so choose the correct theme out of these. So if you're not sure what any of these mean, make sure you translate them. Okay, sorry, you would have had to watch a clip and then choose the correct theme, okay. And then number 2, a translation French into English or Welsh of a review of the film. Okay, so voici le texte en français. So this is the text in French. Dyma'r testyn yn Ffrangeg. So bydd rhaid i chi darllen droso fe, a wedyn cyfieithu fe i'r Gymraeg neu Saesneg, and then you'd have to read through it and translate it into English or French. And again, mae'n helpu chi datblygu geirfa, datblygu brawddegau, i'ch helpu chi gyda'r traethawd. So once again, this is helping you develop vocabulary and structures that you could use then in the essay. Okay? So dyma fe yn Gymraeg. Unwaith eto, os oes angen, just pause y recordiad a ydych chi'n gallu darllen droso fe i gwirio os roeddech chi'n cywir. A wedyn dyna fe yn Saesneg. Okay, so then unrhyw geirfa newydd, any new words, ydych chi'n gallu gwneud nodau, and you can make a note of that, a wedyn adolygu nhw cyn yr arholiadau, and then revise them before the exams. Okay? Next one, read 2 long reviews on the film with a view to writing your own review. Okay? So, 2 spectateurs ont écrit des critiques du film La Rafle. Lisez les 2 critiques. À votre avis, quelle est la meilleure critique? So, pa un yw well, which one is the best? Discutez, expliquez pourquoi oralement, en classe ou avec votre professeur. Puis, écrivez votre propre critique. a wedyn ysgrifennu eich critique eich hun. So write your own critique afterwards, then your own opinion of the film, eich barn chi o'r ffilm. So dyna critique A, so dyna'r un cyntaf. Unwaith eto, just pause. Na ydych chi'n gallu just mynd ar y gwefan cybac, or you could just go on the WJC website. It's up to you. A wedyn critique B, critique B. Okay, so wedyn bydd rhaid i chi penderfynu pa'n wyt ti'n cytuno gyda, pa'n yn well yn eich barn chi. So you could then think about which one do you agree with or which one is best in your opinion. A wedyn ysgrifennu eich un eich hunan. Write one yourselves then. Okay, ar un nesaf yw scaffolded mind map. Okay, so carte heuristique avec suggestion. Utilisez cette carte heuristique pour montrer l'influence de ce personnage sur l'intrigue du film. Glissez, déplacez la phrase correcte dans la bonne boule. So, basically, bydd rhaid i chi rhoi y brawddegau yma yn y lle cywir. So, mae'n gofyn cwestiwn, a bydd rhaid i chi ateb y cwestiynau. Ac hefyd, mae'n cywiro fe ar y we. So, what you have to do is you have to read the questions and match the answer to the correct question, and then the WJC website actually marks it for you, so it'll tell you if you're right or wrong. So mae'n really da. So mae hwnna yw Sura Weissman. So she is one of the main characters. Enghraifft arall, this is another example that maybe you could do some little kind of mind maps about each of the characters. Mae yna 6 cwestiwn yna, so il y a 5 questions ici, so there are 5 questions here. Ond ych chi'n gallu newid y cwestiynau. You could change the questions if you wanted to. You could, you could make up your own. You could add extras. And put in key vocabulary in French and so on, which would be really useful. And dyna enghraifft gyda mwy o fanylion, and this is an example with more detail. Okay, and again, all of this is available on the WJC website. Un arall. Okay, so we have here another one of the key characters, Annette. And then this is another format of, it's very similar, just a different format. It depends what suits you best. Okay, removing a character. Okay, so lisez l'extrait ci-dessus et indiquez ce qui se passerait si le personnage de Joseph n'était pas dans le film. Écrivez un résumé de 80 mots. So it says, darllenwch y testyn yma, the extract yma, a wedyn dweud beth byddai'n digwydd os dydy Joseph ddim yn y ffilm. So you'll have to write about what you think would happen if Joseph wasn't a character in the film. Okay, so dyma enghraifft. Mae hwnna'n eitha heriol, ond really diddorol, dwi'n credu. Okay, decide whether the events noted occur before or after the scene at Le Veldiv. Remember, Le Veldiv is kind of the middle-ish of the film. Okay, so this is very small, but if you go online, you'll see it much clearer. So you read the sentence and you drag it to avant ou après. Okay, so you have to drag the answers then to before or after. Vérifier, so gwiriwch, so then you can check your answers and they'll give you your results. And you can have another go if you don't get them all right first time. Okay? Mae'n just really defnyddiol eich helpu chi gyda dealltwriaeth o'r ffilm, ond hefyd I gwella eich Ffrangeg. So these activities help you with your understanding of the film and the characters, but also they help you develop your French skills as well, and they give you lovely ideas of vocabulary and sentences to use. Okay, the importance of the sequence. So I'm going to I've only got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to go on to the questions now, but you can look at these online. They're excellent. So, les questions des examens des années précédentes. So, dyma cyn bapurau, cwestiynau o cyn bapurau. So, these are some past paper questions now. So, we have 2017, expliquez les changements dans la vie de Joseph Weissman. Comment l'espoir est-il représenté dans le film? Et puis, 2018, expliquez l'attitude des Français envers les Juifs dans le film, ou comment les enfants sont-ils représentés dans le film. Et puis, 2019, sur 2019, expliquez l'attitude des adultes dans le film, et comment l'innocence est-elle représentée dans le film. Ac bob tro bydden nhw'n rhoi 3 pwyntiau bwled I chi, and each time they'll give you 3 bullet points, and does dim rhaid I chi defnyddio nhw, you don't have to use them, ond dwi'n credu mae'n syniad da. OK, regardons-y de plus près. Let's have a little closer look. So, yma, dwi wedi dangos y teitl eto, so, enghraifft, expliquez l'attitude des adultes dans le film, gyda'r bullet points, so les parents, les gens du quartier, les autorités. Ond hefyd, dwi wedi ychwanegu nodiadau am yr arolwr. So I've also included notes for the examiners, for the markers, just as an idea. So they say you could also consider, dych chi'n gallu ystyried hefyd, these 4 bullet points here, okay, 4 pwyntiau bullet yma. Ond mae yn dweud, the above points are suggestions only and are not exhaustive, okay? So, awgrymiadau yn unig yw'r pwyntiau uchod ac nid ydynt yn gynhwysfawr, okay? So, don't worry if you don't include these things. They are just suggestions. Rydych chi'n ysgrifennu beth ydych chi'n credu yw perthnasol i'r cwestiwn. You will include things that you feel are relevant to the essay title. Okay? So, let's have a little look. Écrivez environ 300 mots en français. Il y a 3 points de départ pour chaque question que vous pourriez utiliser, mais ce n'est pas obligatoire. Just dim rhaid I chi, it isn't obligatory to use them. OK, so cofiwch now strwythyr yr essay, y traethawd. So remember how to think about the structure of your essay. Mae hwnna'n enghraifft, this is just a suggestion, an example, just dim rhaid I chi defnyddio fe, you don't have to use it, but this is what I'm going to use this evening. OK, so voici un exemple. Expliquez l'attitude des adultes dans le film. L'introduction, so donnez un bref résumé du film, so byddwch chi'n ysgrifennu a brief summary of the film, introduisez le titre de l'essai par exemple, so then introduce the title of the essay, enghraifft, it's not perfect, it's just a suggestion. Nous pouvons voir de nombreuses attitudes différentes envers les Juifs dans le film, explorons en quelques-unes. So, mae'n dweud bod ni'n gallu gweld amrywiaeth o agweddau tuag at y Jews yn y ffilm. So, rydyn ni'n mynd I edrych drosyn nhw nawr. So, we can see various attitudes towards the Jews in the film. So, let's have a little look at them. So, dyna introduction, l'introduction. Premier paragraphe, c'est les parents. Dwi'n just defnyddio'r pwyntiau bwled yna, okay? So, I'm going to use these bullet points here. Obviously, does dim rhaid I chi, ond dwi'n credu mae'n defnyddiol. OK, so les parents. So, enghraifft, en général, je dirais que la plupart des parents sont plutôt gentils avec les autres familles juives. Par exemple, so, yn gyffredinol, byddwn ni'n dweud bod rhan fwyaf o'r rhieni yn caredig i'r teuluon Jews, enghraifft. So, in general, I would say that the majority of parents are quite kind to the other Jewish families. For example, a wedyn rhoi enghraifft, so give an example. It doesn't have to be just one example, but you can give several different examples there. Remember, we have to make it specific to the film and you have to show your understanding of the film. Paragraphe 2, les gens du quartier. Quant aux gens du quartier, so mae'n defnyddio cont a, cont o, yn ffordd nice I cyflwyno'r point. So it's a nice way of introducing a point. So as for. On voit que certains ont moins de compassion pour les juifs, tel que. So, chi'n gallu rhoi enghraifft o'r bobl sydd ddim yn digon caredig, compassionate tuag at Jews. Okay, so you could give some examples then as well of the people who were not so compassionate towards the Jews. Et numéro 3, les autorités. En ce qui concerne les autorités, cela veut dire la police et le gouvernement. Il me semble qu'ils sont plus intolérants. Ils ne font que leur travail. C'est un emploi, donc ils ont peut-être moins de conscience. Now, hwnna'n just enghraifft, okay? This is just an example. It doesn't mean this is my opinion. It's just giving you an example of how you could argue a point, but you must also explain why. So mae'n bwysig I esbonio pam. You must explain there. La conclusion, so unwaith eto, mae'n just dweud terminez en résumant vos points et concluez avec une déclaration finale. So you just bring everything together. Ar y diwedd, dych chi'n just dod y popeth gyda'n gilydd and then a final declaration of what you feel. Make sure it refers to the title. Okay, you need to keep going back to the title. Mae'n bwysig I mynd yn ôl at y title bob tro so that you keep in line, you keep it relevant. Mae'n bwysig I cadw fe yn perthnasol i'r teitl. Okay, so dyma'r enghraifft cyntaf. A wedyn yr ail un, comment l'innocence est-elle représentée dans le film? Au début, à Montmartre, au Veldiv, dans le camp. Ac unwaith eto, dwi wedi ychwanegu syniadau ychwanegol. I've also just added on some extra ideas here that you could consider if you wanted to. Okay, so dwi'n defnyddio'r un strwythyr. I'm using the same structure again. So, voici un exemple. Dyna'r cwestiwn. Here's the question. L'introduction. So, again, dechrau gyda summary. So, once again, start with the summary. And then introduce the title, perhaps by saying something like beaucoup de personnages semblent aussi innocents au début du film, mais on voit que cela diminue tout au long du film à mesure que la situation s'aggrave. Okay, so ni'n gallu gweld yr innocence yn lleihau yn ystod y ffilm, so we can see that maybe the innocence perhaps is reduced as we get through the film. Obviously, mae lan I chi, it's up to you. Efallai byddech chi ddim yn cytuno gyda fi. Perhaps you don't agree with me. It's just an example. Premier paragraphe, au début à Montmartre, on voit tout de suite que la vie n'est pas tout à fait normale pour les Juifs de Montmartre. Comment, par exemple, Joe ne peut pas monter sur le carrousel. Malgré cela, l'innocence des enfants reste dans une certaine mesure alors qu'ils continuent à jouer et à faire des blagues ensemble. No, mae'n just dweud bod efallai mae'r bywyd yn eitha normal. Perhaps life is quite normal at the start. They still go into school and they live in at home and they can play with their friends and so on. Ond ni'n gallu gweld yn syth, we can see straight away that Joe can't go on the carousel, interdit aux Juifs or something like that, it says. So perhaps even then, right at the start, although they are pretty innocent, playing jokes and so on, this, you can still see that they're taking, they're a bit upset about some of the rules that have already been imposed. Paragraphe 2, au Veldiv, c'est peut-être ici qu'ils commencent à comprendre un peu plus la gravité de leur situation et commencent à perdre leur innocence. So perhaps this is where maybe they start to realise, oh dear, this is quite serious. So rhoi enghreifftiau, please give examples to show what's going on at each part of the film. Troisième paragraphe dans le camp. À ce stade, les personnages semblent plus conscients de ce qui se passe et plus méfiants autant à leur destin. So falle maen nhw more aware now o beth sy'n digwydd. Perhaps by this stage, when they're in the camp, they've been taken away from their homes, they've been put into this concentration camp, they got very little food and water. So, you know, the situation gets more serious, and perhaps I suggest this is where the innocence gets lost further. Ond mae lan I chi, it's up to you. Ac unwaith eto, just la conclusion, okay? So, dyma 2 enghraifft. So gallech chi ddefnyddio'r gwybodaeth o'r sesiwn heno I helpu gyda ffilmiau arall. You can use this information. I know I focused on La Rafle, but you can use this evening session to help with other films. You just use the key vocabulary, the grammar sites I gave you at the beginning. You use the WJC websites to prepare for the task, to prepare for your specific film, and then you can still use the structure if you want to, that I've given you, but just related to your film instead of La Rafle. So la pratique, c'est très important. Ymarfer, practice. La pratique rend parfait, maen nhw'n dweud. Practice makes perfect. So gobeithio mae hwnna wedi helpu chi gyda'ch paratoi am y ffilm, ar gyfer y ffilm. I hope this session has helped you with your preparation for the film. Si vous avez des questions, if you have any questions, os mae gennych chi cwestiynau, please ysgrifennwch nhw yn y lle ateb, cwestiwn ac ateb. Please write it in the question and answer section, a byddwn ni'n ateb nhw ar diwedd y session, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible at the end of the session. Okay, so merci beaucoup et bonne chance. Au revoir.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Alison. Thank you very much, Alison. Gobeithio bod sesiwn heddi wedi bod yn ddefnyddiol I chi. I hope you all found today's session useful. Bydd sesiwn yr wythnos nesaf yn canolbwyntio ar y prawf llafar unwaith eto cerdyn B. Next week's session will focus again on the speaking test, card B. Naethon ni newid y sesiynau 3 a 4 round, just to remind you that we have swapped sessions 3 and 4 round. Gobeithio eich gweld chi bryd ni. We hope to see you then. Hwyl fawr, goodbye.